So today we're joined by Kerry. Kerry, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kerry Blaser. I'm a mother, shaman, and recently published author of My Inner Heroin, Exploring Feminine Pain. I
Wow.
grew up in Southern California. I still live there now, and I went to university at the University of California at Santa Barbara. I got an undergraduate degree in Chinese and religious studies, and I went back for a master's degree. I met my now ex-husband in Tibet. He's Israeli, and I have three grown kids. And I've spent the last 10 years healing from my childhood trauma, and now I'm ready to share the wisdom of how I transform my emotional wounds into personal wisdom.
Wow, that's quite a lot of around the world and doing
Yeah.
lots of exciting things. So, yeah, where shall we start then? Where would you like to start?
Well, I think it's telling to start with my childhood. So it kind of like
Yeah.
sets the scene. Why did Carrie have so many challenges in this life? Like, I'm a beautiful woman. I'm kind and compassionate. I'm very maternal. Why did my divorce fail? Why do I have challenges with my kids? Why did I need so much healing? It's the
Not
childhood.
many women call themselves beautiful, so that was quite a
You.
woman just
Well,
called herself beautiful.
yeah, it's like, oh, it's like a feminine woman in the wild. Wait, what? There's a feminine woman outside. They exist. Oh, there she is. Oh, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, here I'm so glad you brought that up because I've had a hard time my whole life receiving attention. But
Yeah.
that was me in my masculinity providing and protecting myself from my home life and not wanting the attention equals punishment. So go away. Like
Yeah.
I don't exist. I'm just going to go to work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to school. So men staring at me, very difficult for me. But I have there's like a history of that too. So I was born in Arizona and I'm gonna go into my parents' lives. My dad's parents got a divorce in the 50s.
That's
And
quite
my
unusual then.
unusual, but that shows the amount of trauma in the household, right?
Hmm.
And my youngest uncle is my dad's half brother because my grandma got pregnant when they were divorced and then remarried my grandpa and then took care of all four kids. And my grandma had so much emotional challenges and so many codependencies that she would still dress my uncle in high school. He'd sit in the recliner. She'd put on his shoes. She'd bring him his food, his hair, everything, like super, like coddling, all the fawning. Like people talk about, fight or flight, but
Yeah.
they don't talk about freeze and fawn, like the
Yeah.
people pleasing, the coddling, the over attending and not attending to yourself. So that was my dad's family. And my mom, she got engaged 4 times before marrying my dad, and my dad was 4 years younger.
Okay. That's
Just
an
to like
unusual
set
as
the
well.
scene, just to, if that doesn't, set the scene. They got married in the 60s. Okay. My mom was an alcoholic and a smoker. My dad's a workaholic. We're Swiss German. So that's like double German. Like you want to know what time it is, like the precise to the millisecond. That's Swiss German, more than German. And so that's Blazer, Blosser in Swiss German. So so that was my parents got married, and of course I was born. I have an older brother, a year and a half older. And then when I was about 9 months old, we moved to Europe. My dad's an engineer, and he got a job working in France and Switzerland for about 4 years. And then we came back. We moved to Southern California, about 15 minutes, like driving on a windy road, like next near the Bachelor Mansion. Now, so
Tell
by
me what that
now,
is, because I don't think I know what a
the
bachelor mansion
Bachelor, like
is.
the ABC show, The Bachelor.
All right. I don't really watch TV,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Thank you. It's like a huge mansion in Malibu.
I think
Okay.
it might ring a bell. I think I know what you're talking about a little bit.
Okay. So I mean, like, yeah, like super rich. So that's where I landed. And then I spent 1 year at an elementary school before my parents got divorced. And then even though my dad, was making 6 figures, he didn't pay that much child support because of all their arguing. So I was raised in an apartment even though my dad, because my parents. So, and then my mom, doing that, my mom taught me, oh, you don't need a man in your life daily. And then, she's an alcoholic, so I'm trying to protect myself. I don't need a man, but who protects me? And then because they would argue in front of me about child support before I was 10 years old, I internalized that I'm not deserving of a man providing for me. So
Yeah.
here's all the blocking of all the attention that you so aptly, astutely brought up. This is what it is that, oh, well, I'm not good enough to be provided for. I got to provide for myself. So then that puts me in my masculine, and that's the giving, not the receiving.
Yeah.
So, in high school, when in my book, I talk about 6 heroes in my life, and they mirror my wounds back to me, and I'll get into that in a second, but they really helped me heal and see where I needed to improve myself. And the first one I met in my childhood, and we were at high school together. And I wouldn't let him talk to me, even though he was ASB president. Like, just fear would just over me, like, with 2,000 kids, super good looking, but I wouldn't let him near me. And he would stare at me, and I hated it because I couldn't receive because I wasn't healthy in my femininity.
Yeah.
And that kind of, gets me to where my relationships were starting. And if I can't receive and I don't know how to be healthy in my feminine lane with compassion and nurturing and forgiveness and intuition and, all of the healthy femininity, and I'm trying to be in the masculine lane, then I'm going to attract in a man who's, trying to be masculine, but really isn't in feminine lane. Like this guy who, is super accomplished, like he's an MBA and everything now, and former FBI and stuff. But I was the rock, like, no, I was one emotion. No, I'm afraid. And he's like, well, but I want you, but someone else. And then here and here. But you see, like, that's the emotions. And that's what I didn't learn as a child, is that as a woman, I'm kind of in a different spot every day because I'm supposed to be in my flow of emotions, protected by the masculine wall. And my waves go up against the masculine wall, and there's the emotions, and there's healthy, feminine and masculine. But I was over here being the wall.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I like, how do I, what? And now I'm 55. I finally figured out how to be the ocean and how to attract a man who's the wall. But it took me a little time.
Yeah. I kind of like in different ways, but I relate to a lot of what you've said about
Mm.
not liking attention and stuff. It's uncomfortable at times. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My whole life I struggled. I remember the first guy in the book, I met him at yoga, and he would turn and look at me, and I hated it because I didn't want to be seen. I
Mm.
hated myself. I internalized my parents' negativity. They didn't know how to love themselves. They didn't know how to model that for me. So they modeled self-hate and anxiety and depression and lack of self-care. And so I internalized that. So when I hate myself like that, why would I want to be seen?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I can think back now, like logically now, I can go, oh, well, that's what that was. And it makes sense that I felt so ugly in the inside. And I didn't want to be seen, because I wasn't my true self. Like, I remember before we started recording, we talked about, isolation. I rejected so much of myself. And I think I was at elementary school with my first hero, who I call Jared in the book, because I have rejected myself my whole life. Like, I saw this statue that really helped me kind of understand and see myself. That's me. Okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be of a parent who's lost a child, like grief. And so you see the head, the arms, and the legs, but the whole body is just missing. And you just
Yeah.
can look through it and see the whole like ocean in the background. And that was me. Like, there was nothing left to connect with. Like, I told my older daughter, she's 24, the other day. I was like, I'm doing all these podcasts, and people are can't wait for me to come back. Like, the first time in my life that people are excited to have me around. And why? Because I'm excited to have myself around.
Yeah.
That I finally can, kind of project out a level of self-love that people want to be around. And
Yeah.
I'm 55.
It
Like,
takes a long time though, doesn't it, to sort of heal all that learning and unlearn it. But yeah, you came into the podcast like when I sort of clicked to let you in, it was
mm,
just like this whoosh of energy.
mhm.
You can feel it.
But I'm Swiss German, so I have to be perfectly prepared for my coming out, right? And I'm like, God, I'm a Reiki master. I'm a Karuna Reiki master. I've helped people like Andrew Tate. Why don't I have, because for me to feel prepared, I got a laundry list. Okay, I need enlightenment. I need this. I need my book. I need to understand this. I have, my Swiss German list of things. And now I feel confident and ready, and like I have enough self-belief to speak
Yeah.
because, I'm coming out against a lot of really, not against, I'm not against them. Like, I call them my heroes for a reason, and I should get into that now. So what I realized, so I started healing 10 years ago when my mom passed away on my 45th birthday.
Okay.
And so that was the day my intuition told me, it's time to accept that you have intuition. It's time to
Yeah.
accept your psychic gifts, and it's time to heal from your childhood trauma. My mom came through to me in a dream and said thank you, because I brought her home from Florida back to California, and so she could see the whole family and be with us her last 3 weeks. And then her soul chose my birthday because our birthday and our death day are like the two most special days. And so we have my birthday together and we have her death day together. Like, my older daughter has the same birthday as my brother. And then I recently got a PR manager, and after I hired him, I found out he has the same birthday too. And he's an engineer, but he loves the creativity, the branding. I'm like, oh, you're an engineer in December and like same birthday. And I'm like, okay, must be it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I through all my healing works and like starting 10 years ago and then attracting these men into my life, I realized that in our relationships are our best mirror. There's wisdom, the universe is a mirror. We have mirror neurons, women a lot more than men, because women are designed to mirror our emotional state back to our infants and have that emotional connection and teach them how to regulate their own emotions, which they can't do for the first 7 years. Men aren't designed for that.
No.
Women are designed for that. That's why the woman biologically, emotionally needs to be at home. So I realized, like, God, I'm growing and learning so much what's going on. But this is what I had to realize is that, I don't know what tall is until I know what short is. I don't know what beautiful is until I know what ugly is. And that's why our opposite is our best mirror to show us where I don't value myself, where I don't love myself, where I don't. And so I had to accept, okay, I'm a beautiful woman. Like, why are all these men attracted to me? Two fire academy instructors, Justin Waller, who's Andrew Tate's best friend, like 16 years younger than me. Like, I had a lot of accepting to do about that. I'm a beautiful woman and I'm a kind woman, and all these like challenges I've had with relationships and friendships and my kids, and all of that is because I internalized trauma from my parents. And it was passed down to me through generational trauma, through my DNA. Like, we inherit about 15 to 20 generations of emotional pain in our DNA.
Wow. I've not heard that
Yeah.
before. I did think I kind of instinctively know about, and I've heard people say about, you're bound to take forward some of the trauma. But it was quite powerful when I found out that was actually true. But I was working with someone recently because I'm a counsellor,
Mm,
who'd lost someone, and she was really struggling with flashbacks. And I just said to her,
mm,
"You've never been through this, but your body knows what to do. Your
yeah.
ancestors have been through this and you know what to do. Your body knows. Just let it go. Like, just allow it to happen." And I think that was really helpful for her.
Yeah, I love that. Your body, your soul, it knows what to do. And my experience in the fall was just like, wow. And so last March, a year ago in March, was the first time I experienced enlightenment. And I was still connected to the second fire academy instructor, the fire captain, and getting into that emotion, because I learned that enlightenment is an emotion. So what happened was, I saw him at yoga on a Sunday, and then that Tuesday I sat in my recliner and my energy started to vibrate higher and higher, and I didn't know what was happening. And even though I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies and lived in Chinese Buddhist monasteries, I didn't know that enlightenment was an emotion. Like, that's all men, right? So I could get into all of that analysis, but I'm like, okay, enlightenment's an emotion. All right. So I started increasing my vibration higher, higher Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning, like, I barely slept. I heard enlightenment, enlightenment, enlightenment in my head. I'm like, okay, I must be vibrating that high. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then I asked, okay, so what's the wisdom? What is the wisdom that I'm trying to learn here? And what I was shown was that I don't value my feminine ability to create human life, nor how femininity fuels healthy masculinity.
Yeah.
Okay. And so And that's my larger takeaway, from that. And then I faced my fears of my daughters being sexually assaulted. And so that's when I learned. So that happened. I lost 12 pounds. My kids thought I was having a manic episode and took me to the doctor and called the police. And, because I mean, it was gnarly. Like a lot happened. And so I'm not saying that they were wrong to be that concerned. I'm not. A lot happened and it was gnarly. I never went to the mental hospital. I never got arrested. But then I had to do research I'm like, okay, well, my kids don't understand and I don't understand. Like, if I can't teach my kids something, like, I don't care about anybody else. And that's
Yeah.
why I introduced myself as a mother,
Yeah.
because that always comes to play when everything that I do. If my kids aren't taken care of, I'm not doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm a mother, like, and that means something. So then I wrote my first draft of the book after that. And I didn't know that my intuition was going to guide me to reach out to my guy from my childhood again, who I called Jared in the book. I had no idea. And so I published the book in October. And then a week later, my intuition said, reach out to Jared. And so then that kind of initiated about 7 weeks of intense, intense healing where I faced my fears on a profound way. But like you said, the body knows what to do. The soul knows what to do. Like, I had to believe that I was potentially pregnant for 3 weeks to heal wounds in my womb. I drove one day all the way up to Sacramento, which is like from Southern California to Northern California. I drove for 12 hours straight and only stopped twice because I was so like figuring out my fears, and my womb just hurt and hurt and hurt. And then when I came back, I knew it was time to heal from my wounds from Jared. And like he would just stare at me all the time and we couldn't be together and I knew it. And he would super trigger me, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand that that's how deeply he connected to me and that he was connecting to my, showing me myself, how much fear I had in myself of men, of being sexually abused. And, he's over 6 feet tall and, league champion wrestler and, super smart. And so I couldn't accept that a man like that, now granted, he had equal amount of wounds that I did, but I couldn't receive that a man like that was so interested in me. And it's this whole inability to receive, thing. And I just pushed him away. And then I ended up giving my virginity away to a guy. I was 16, he was 18. He had been in juvie and was a drug dealer.
That's what happens.
And that's classic. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't value myself, so I gave myself away. Like, I wasn't even like, I remember thinking, oh, I gotta have casual sex. I'll just get it over with. Because,
Yeah.
like, there's nothing casual about sex. That's
No.
just a misnomer completely, which, I'm up against all these men. I keep saying up against. I guess I need to reframe that inside myself. That's my soul showing me myself. I have to have this much confidence to be able to be willing to debate these red pill guys. Justin Waller, Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines, who's on Fresh and Fit, who's kind of like the red hot center of high value man, multiple women. But I had to like, why do these men go for breadth? Oh, they can't go for depth, you know, because of their maternal wounds. So why
Yeah.
am I attracting in men? Like, you say, oh, well, she's a beautiful woman. Why, she doesn't have to deal with cheating. Okay, but that's not how it works. Our souls, we all have energy bodies, which physicists have proven that we have energy bodies. And our souls or our energy bodies plan our lives based on the laws of physics, based on our wounds. So one wound that I saw that I had was I had a wound that I'm replaceable. And I only saw that with the fire captain. That was the fifth hero. Like, that's how many men with multiple women I had to attract into my life before I was ready and able to face that part of myself, that my soul was attracting these men into my life to show me that I have a wound in my subconscious, that I'm replaceable. And so what kind of man is the opposite, believes that women are replaceable? Well, the man that goes for breadth because he can't go for depth from maternal wounds. So about a month
Mhm.
ago, I saw a guy, you know, multimillionaire, perfect shape, like Justin Waller type, And Justin, traumatic childhood, super successful, just like Andrew Tate. And they asked him, they said, okay, so is your wife replaceable or is your business replaceable? He said, my wife's replaceable. I can have kids with anybody. Wow, right? But I can't go deep. Like Justin Waller's mom has a YouTube channel talking about Justin, terrible things about Justin, giving out her phone number so people can call her so they can create another YouTube video talking crap about her son.
Why would you do that?
That's how messed up she is. Like,
And
I talk to people about, the things that come out of people, like the reasoning that comes out of a wound. Like, I had to learn that I had wounds, and when I turn those wounds into wisdom, self-hate to self-love, that's when I increase my vibration. So this was super helpful for me. Like, I also have an engineering left brain. It's a Swiss German in me. So I have to know how things work.
yeah,
So this whole law of physics, all these experiments, I attracted that to me because I love it. Like, I love it, love it. One thing, like, so I'm trying to know which physics experiment to start with.
you have more than one?
Oh, I have three. Okay, so let me start with the physics experiment that explains how our souls plan our lives. Okay. Because
Okay.
I wondered, like, why? Because I thought my whole life was the valley of darkness. Like, I had 35 years of debilitating lower back pain. I had a hard time cooking and cleaning and taking care of my kids. Like, it was really challenging. Like, why would my soul plan that for me? What is it
Mhm.
trying to show me inside myself? Like, why is that necessary? And so, there's a physics experiment with two balls, and there's two tracks. And one track is slightly downhill and the same distance. And one track has hills and valleys. So the distance traveled on that track is technically longer. Which ball reaches the finish line first?
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people like either pick this track. I mean, some people pick the hills and valleys. It's the hills and valleys. Why? Because we need the momentum and propulsion gained going into that valley of darkness, and that's what sent us to our next mountaintop. Like
Mm,
Nikola Tesla, I have his quote, if you want to find the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So physicists have like measured our energy bodies, and they've shown that our souls communicate through emotions, through our hearts. And this is what spiritualists have been saying all along, is that we're all souls. We all communicate through our hearts. We're one collective. We're all connected. So like shame vibrates at about 20 hertz, hate, anger, fear, 70, 80, 90 hertz. Love is about 200 hertz, compassion about 400 hertz. Enlightenment is 700 to 1,000 hertz. And that's why when I was in my chair, for 3 days vibrating that high, I lost 12 pounds. That's why in the fall, when I was like facing my fears so profoundly, and now that I know I can surf that 70-foot wave off of Portugal, you know what I mean? Those
mhm,
huge waves out there. Because I've learned like enlightenments and emotion, it's in part of my natural human emotional range now because I've accessed it. I've opened that part of myself so I can go into enlightenment, ask the universe for some wisdom, face some catastrophic fears, and come out a lot easier now. And that's really what helped me in the fall. But like you said, like when the person was remembering, that's where I got super confused about what's a memory and what's a vision.
mm,
Because the subconscious finds a lot of ways, our soul, our wounds, right? About how to show us our wounds. Like, my soul found the way, okay, you think you're replaceable with men. So, okay, you need a lineup of men who have multiple women. And the fire captain, he is married and chasing me and a 30-year-old, hot yoga instructor. But all those guys I met at yoga, three of them, they were all also sleeping with yoga instructors. I don't know what's going on at yoga, but something's going
there's something
going
happening.
on at yoga. Yeah. But I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out, wait, I don't remember that happening. So why does it seem like that's happening? And then the vision would kind of change and change and change. I'm like, okay, if it's changing and I don't remember it for like, the past 40 years since I've seen him, then that's a vision. And that's my soul showing me part of my subconscious that I need to change that wound into wisdom. So this is where, a lot of women that I've seen, complain, well, where are all the good men and why are all men narcissists? Well, girlfriend, you got wounds. that the narcissist will trigger. And so your soul is planning your life based on your wounds for self-improvement opportunities. That's because of you. And
Yeah.
women have a really hard time taking accountability, like a really hard time taking accountability. And I understand, like, feminine natures, we're the vulnerable ones. And so it's in our nature to communicate problems, but we're all so messed up. And this whole, it finally got us to, like, we're in the birth control pill, we're killing babies and we're getting divorced left, right, and center. And women aren't having kids. Like, women are so upset that we've stopped having kids.
Yeah.
We're that messed up.
So that's quite a journey that you've been on. And
Yeah.
is that all of it, or is there more about what
Yeah.
happened?
I mean, I also learned, like, the other physics experiments. Okay, so I had to learn, so this one lesson that the men I attract into my life are not more messed up than me. I had to learn that lesson, which I think a lot of, and I fell into that trap. And here's how I learned that lesson. So the yoga instructors, they were helpful. I learned a lot from the yoga instructors who were sleeping with a lot of men. So the first guy, Tim, in the book, he had a special relationship with the most popular yoga instructor. She's about 5 foot tall, long red hair. And she would make a lot of sexual jokes, kind of flaunting her side business as a dominatrix.
Right.
This is my first, this was, I'm like, hot yoga. Okay. It's hot for multiple reasons. Okay. So very helpful. Like, I did hot yoga for 6 years and I'm just getting back into it after a 9-month break, but because of the fall and the healing and stuff. So they had a special relationship. And I was flirting with him one day before class. There was like 30 people in class. And she comes over and starts stomping around his yoga mat. And he lays down, like, dominatrix style stomping. And he lays down to protect himself, like as if there were an invisible whip. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that man messed up. It took me probably 2 years to swallow this pill, that I attracted that man into my life because our wounds are equal. And that's for a romantic relationship. You're not getting a CEO who's super fit, super, healthy, dating a homeless woman. I know it's an extreme example, but this is what we're talking about. Like, if someone's really messed up, then they're going to attract in someone who's messed up. Like, when I was a woman in my masculine lane, I'm attracting in men in their feminine lane. Men who are all over the place because they're so emotional. When women, I'm supposed to be the one with the waves and the emotions, and he's supposed to be the rock. Now, of course, men have emotions. I'm not saying they don't, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So was that the second physics experiment?
Oh, the second physics experiment. Okay, yeah. So then, yeah, I had to learn that. But so yes, this takes me right to the second physics experiment. Thank you. I helped my kids stay on track here. Okay, so in physics, they have these prongs, and one, like, is tuned to 400 hertz, and let's say one is tuned to 500 hertz. When the 500 hertz moves, the 400 hertz doesn't notice because they don't vibrate at the same frequency. There is no resonance. But when a 400 hertz and a 400 hertz are together and one moves, then the other one moves. So how does that help us understand what we perceive? So we're energy bodies. Our emotions are about ourselves. And we project our emotions out through our heart onto other souls, onto what's called the quantum field. Then the energy that also resonates with our soul, the wounds and the wisdom in our soul, is what we perceive. We attract what's familiar so that we can see ourselves, to appreciate ourselves with the wisdom, and to improve ourselves with the wound. So let's say that I'm out and I notice someone being selfish. That is my soul showing me that I have selfishness inside of me.
Yeah.
So imagine that we could teach that lesson, especially to women, with all the ad hominem attacks and all the shameful, you're a racist and you're a misogynist and you're a transphobe and you're a fat phobic and you're this, like, whoa, like, people just don't understand themselves, that we're souls having a human experience, and that our emotions are about ourselves, and we're here to improve ourselves. Now, we hold space for everything so we can see ourselves, but, we seriously don't understand ourselves, that we're just we're just at this stage of going, okay, what is actual existence? And what are we doing here? And this is what we're doing here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
and so Yeah, that one I try to share as much as possible because if people could integrate that into their relationships, that every time you see selfishness or, a negativity anywhere outside of you, that is your soul showing you the negativity inside of yourself.
Yeah, I think
How
that
much
is the case.
wars and divorce and relationship problems could we resolve just by sharing that one piece of wisdom?
Yeah, interesting.
Then the third one is how change is an inside job, and that if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself.
Definitely.
So I quote a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza in the book
Yeah.
and the neuroscientist, and he says, yeah, in order to heal, you'll have to have a more transformative, powerful emotional event. Well, the higher vibrating emotions are all love, compassion, enlightenment. So those will always be a higher vibrating event. It's just how long do you need to sit in that wound and experience that wound to be ready to receive the wisdom that that wound is holding. Like I had 35 years of debilitating lower back pain. I was only ready to receive the wisdom from that wound like 8 years ago. And then I healed the wound about 2 years after that.
So you don't have back pain anymore?
No, I mean, once in a while, like, so I have a little bit of structural damage, but in general, it's like when I'm going to yoga, which I used to go 5, 6 days a week, I can do a lot. I can't lift things. I mean, I still have some limitations because
Hmm.
that does actual physical damage, all that kind of restriction. But so many women have pain in their hips because we
Mm,
store our pain where we store our value. And so women's value, whether we like it or not, is in our womb, is in our ability to create, our feminine ability to create. And so a lot of men get a lot of pain in their shoulders, neck, and arms because that's the providing and protecting. And then they'll express themselves through their arms. So this is where women need to be careful. Like one way Jared and I were really dangerous for each other. Like I have pictures in our high school yearbook of him like jumping on people. You could see how muscular he is, like, and being a spaz. He was 16, I was 14, like he was a spaz and I was super abused at home and trying to protect myself and just trying to have one or two friends and he was friends with everybody. But that's like the woman's supposed to connect and the man stole it, but we had, role reversal. And so, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot to kind of heal out of. I go into all that wisdom in the book about when I learned certain things, like how I learned two healing methodologies I use are called, one is called appreciate, learn, forgive, and then the other is called love hierarchy. So appreciate, learn, forgive is a process I just kind of saw myself going through. And because I have an engineering brain, I'm like, okay, well, how does that work? How do I break that down? How do I explain that?
yeah.
And so appreciate gratitude. Gratitude's a heart opener. When we're in fight or flight, freeze or fawn, we're not healing ourselves. We're focused on other people. We've closed down to ourselves. So in order to heal ourselves, we have to open to ourselves, surrender to our pain and feel safe. And that's what gratitude does. It's a heart opener. And that appreciate our challenges in life because that's how we have opportunities to unearth more self-belief and self-confidence and self-love like I have, like you showed up and, oh, she's confident. Well, that took a lot of work,
Yeah,
a lot to
it
go
does.
from like missing my whole center to being able to kind of come out in the world and say, yeah, I helped Andrew Tate. I'm a shaman. I'm the shaman that the universe asked to help Andrew Tate 2 weeks after he got canceled on social media. Yeah, I'm that person. And I was just getting warmed up. It's like being able to say it like that took a ton of internal work and self-belief, but that's what those valleys provide. Like I went through a valley yesterday, deep valley yesterday. It's not like, oh, I experienced enlightenment. No, it's like now I have enlightenment in my emotional range. Now I can go into it when I need it. It's not like my life is perfect now. I just have more emotions at my disposal to process my stuff and surf more and more waves. And like in my book, I have a link to the two ball physics experiment, and it shows it 3 different times, one with 2 hills, one with 3 hills, one with 4 hills. The more hills, the faster the ball goes. This isn't going to slow down for me. Like, this is like just keeps getting faster. And that's what I noticed. Like, when I come into a new space, I just go to the most painful part, like super painful, like suicidal thoughts. And then I pull out. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not. But that's the level of self hate in each segment of pain. Like if I just go to the most painful self hate, which okay, then that makes sense where suicidal thoughts would. could reside. And I've already like attempted suicides. I've already expanded my consciousness so much. For me to have more opportunity to expand my consciousness, I need, I need more challenge. So like right now, I got laid off almost 2 years ago. I wrote my book and I'm living off my 401k and I'm renting out 2 rooms and, I am surrounded by millionaires and I haven't been paid. But that's because I am holding up a mirror to myself and to them. And that's what us souls were here to do. And, I have a place to live. Like, this is my condo. I own it. I won't own it forever if I don't start making money. But, I own it. And I'm working on a film adaptation and trying to get traditionally published and, doing as much as I can to get my book out. Yeah. That's...
Did you find it hard to write the book, or did it just come to you?
So I kind of felt the book in me. Like it took about a year after I helped Andrew just to tell anybody that I did it. Then I told my kids, and I live in Southern California. So they were very, very, very displeased with their mother. Why would you help Andrew Tate? I said, hang on a second. Isn't a more emotionally balanced Andrew Tate better for everybody? It's like, well, yeah. Okay, well, I did that. So why are you complaining? But then there's the trigger. And then this is one way that helped me learn that triggers are our healing friend and not our healing foe. Most people like, you triggered me, you're the problem. No, the other person's soul just showed you a part of yourself. When something gets triggered, it's in you, and now it's at the surface. It's a perfect time to self-reflect. Like one of the reasons I attracted Andrew Tate into my life is I had a fear of men and I had a fear of being sexually assaulted. And he triggers a lot of people around the globe, those wounds. Well,
Yeah.
then my book shows him how to heal it. I mean, that's how one way his soul and my soul are working in lockstep. Because I came into his best friend's life 2 months before his takedown started. And 1 month after Jared got his current job, he's the head of global security at a huge international company that works with the internet. And Andrew Tate was silenced on the internet. And has payment processing center disconnected. Now, right or wrong, like I'm not judge or jury. Like that's not my job. I don't spend time on it. But I always ask myself, well, who's powerful enough? Who could do that, to Andrew Tate and then throw him in solitary confinement and everything. The FBI could be an organization with that kind of power. And so it was interesting when I finally, after I reached out to Jared and I saw the name of his company and now I know it, but then I saw, I'm like, I don't even know what that company is. I didn't care. I just had to reach out to him. I hadn't been 40 years, but to kind of then turn around and go like, there's so many reasons I attracted Andrew Tate into my life. And one of them was to lead me back to my guy from my childhood. Wow. Like,
So what happened
wow.
between you and Andrew Tate? What was it
Oh, what
that?
happened? So, okay. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, in June of 2022, Kim had left that yoga studio because the dominatrix yoga instructor, she had started her own yoga studio. So he had left. So and I never went on a date with any of these guys. But this is also showing like what is woman's value. Like I have all this value to provide, and I never went on a date with you, never cooked you a meal, and never had sex with these men. So that's in these communities. I mean, that's all they say. Oh well, can you cook and have sex? Okay, then yeah, have her. It's like that. That's the only value that women are. That's what women are complaining about, the patriarchy, that they don't value us. But we have to value ourselves. It's not up to men to value us. They're showing us how we don't value ourselves. And
Yeah.
so it's up to women to value ourselves, put that energy out into the universe, and then the universe will reflect it back to us. That's that too, experiment.
Yeah.
So so anyway, so in June, I had questions about male sexuality because Tim had multiple women. And then I had seen Justin on that Fresh and Fit podcast. And on the second time, my intuition said, reach out to him. Like, okay, and I had already, like, by that point, my intuition had told me to do some crazy stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just do it. And it turns out it works. I'm like, okay, well, just because it doesn't make sense in the moment doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. I just don't understand yet. Huge lesson for me. So and then we DM'd a little bit for those 2 months, but I did not reach out to Justin because of Andrew. I learned that was his best friend after. Like, oh, okay, whatever. Then in August, Andrew got canceled on social media and he was very upset about it. And I saw Justin was very upset about it, rightfully so. Like it was a very hard time in Andrew's life. So his best friend, is going to have a hard time. So I reached out and then Justin got right back to me saying thank you with emotional support. Right. And I'm 16 years older. I'm a mother. I've been married, I've been a wife, like I can provide emotional support in ways women he probably typically attracts into his life don't. And and then we started DMing back and forth, and that's when, and so I opened my heart to him because the energy starts with the woman. All these women are like, well, why aren't they doing it? And why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they? Hang on a second, girlfriend. The energy starts with the woman. Like the woman drops the handkerchief to tell the guy, please talk to me, and women aren't acknowledging that that is their role. And so they obfuscate their role and wonder what the problem is. So I dropped my handkerchief. Okay. So his heart opened, and then I could see, oh, well, he has this codependency and this imbalance. And it was like late at night. And I was like, okay, I'll just wake up in the morning and we'll get started. So I wake up in the morning, and then Andrew Tate's soul is just hanging out at my house. And that doesn't happen that often to me. Like I'm a shaman, so I talk to souls. I'm aware, I'm cognizant of this communication between our hearts. I'm cognizant and I can engage in it. But every soul has that capability, whether they've, kind of brought it out of their soul yet or not. We are all, as souls, have these gifts. So my intuition started showing me questions I wanted to ask Andrew, because Andrew was very upset, and I could see that Andrew and Justin had a codependency. And I even asked Justin, I said, you and Andrew need to talk about why he quit chess when he was 8 years old and had a score of 1800. His dad was a grandmaster at chess. And why Justin, who has his own steel construction company, college graduate, youngest member of the American Steel Board, failed sixth grade. Doesn't make sense on either front, right? Speaks to maybe something happened. So I could see that they had a codependency in Justin's heart. And for me to be able to help Justin balance out his heart, I had to address Andrew. So it was really part of Justin's healing. But I needed Andrew too in multiple ways, which I can share. My intuition started telling me questions I needed to ask Andrew. I'm like, you want me to ask that man why it was necessary for him personally to stomp, use the word stomp, around the globe screaming, I'm a man? And you think I'm going to be safe asking those questions in person? I'm like, okay. So all these questions were shown to me like that. And the next day, my intuition's like, no, you're just going to talk to his soul. I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm safe home on my couch. And so I asked him a bunch of questions to get at his maternal wound about, and the last question was like, 5 or 6 really intense, kind of direct questions to unearth the emotional pain so he could see himself. And I finally asked him, who emasculated you as a child? And then he's like, oh, I'll just tell you. Now he's a competitor. So it's like good sportsmanship, he is okay. She won. I'll sit down. But then, and then he told me, and then that was kind of settled. And then I helped Justin for about another 6 weeks. But that whole time at yoga, the first firefighter was also there with me, and we were kind of, eyeing each other, so to speak, and he was like 6'4", looks like Clark Kent, Superman, perfect body, and I never got a date. I never got a date. But that's why. And then so how Andrew helped me see myself profoundly as a healer. So that was in August of 2022. Then, November or December of 2022, he was thrown, Andrew, in solitary confinement in a Romanian prison. And so I would sit in my garage in the dark in my recliner, same place where I experienced enlightenment, and talk to his soul. Because as we already explained, I had, that grief statue. That is the isolation. Like Carl Jung helped me understand loneliness so much. He said in a quote, one does not feel lonely because one has no one about them. One feels loneliness due to the inability to share what's important to them. And I had been rejected so much as a child in my family, and probably by Jared in elementary school, and then all of our problems in high school. And I was already so messed up. And so I resonated that two prongs, you know, with a man in solitary confinement in a Romanian prison. That is how alone I have felt my whole life because of my trauma, because I rejected myself. And then the fire captain, the second firefighter, his soul taught me that a man will open his heart to a woman when her love is stronger than his brute, which is what happened to me and Andrew when our souls first, I went hard on him, but that was love. That was tough love. See yourself, look in there, stop avoiding your pain. All these men have an avoidant attachment style with a likely sex addiction. And so I corralled him in my love. And he felt safe. And so he surrendered to his pain. I mean, I helped Andrew Tate surrender to his emotional pain. And that's a man who can endure pain. Like, you don't become 4-time UFC world champion without the ability to endure a ton of mental, emotional, and physical pain and come out on top. So, so I took that analogy that a man will, open his heart when her love is stronger than his brute. I'm like, so my capacity for love and compassion as a healer is greater than Andrew Tate's capacity for brute strength as a fighter. Okay, I got to write a book, right? And so, so this all came out. So they had the Enlightenment experience, and then Jack. Oh, whoops, it's Jim. Sorry, Jim in the book. It'll come out. I know it'll come out. Is married and told me he was married only after, like, I kept texting him after my Enlightenment experience. And it was just for me to show me myself, my anxious texting habits, communication habits, and to show, and for him to communicate, I'm married. Well, he communicated he's married. And then I was quiet for 2 weeks. If anyone's been married and the wife goes quiet for an extended period of time, get ready, a tsunami's coming. Like, watch out. She's getting ready. Like, you just back up. So I sent an email to the dean of public safety, because he's a fire academy instructor, and that was his boss's boss, about all the problems I had with the fire academy instructors having sex with multiple women. I'm like, they have an oath of office to protect the most vulnerable, and yet they're having a lot of casual sex with women, which destroys women's ability to pair bond as wives and mothers. How are they protecting society when they're engaging in a lot of casual sex? And they're always firefighters, always. Never like a moment like, okay, in that moment, if there's a fire happening, I'm not, they're always on duty. So the oath always applies. So I called out his oath of office to the dean of public safety. And so I'm like, I have something to say. So then that's when all the writing started to come out. It just kind of happened naturally. I just kept on opening my heart and opening my heart and opening my heart. And the writing was instrumental. Like, I highly recommend writing to anyone who's had trauma and wants to see themselves, because I had 3 rules. First, my first draft, just let it out. I could say whatever I want. Andrew Tate's a jerk. He's an ass. And say it all. Just get it out. Then, okay, then the 2 rules, the editing rules were, I can only speak for myself, and I will not disparage these men. They have their own wounds and their own problems, and they need compassion and healing. Like, the only way for sexual assault to stop is for us to eradicate the wound. And the fear of being sexually assaulted is a wound. So, as long as we have those wounds, sexual assault is going to happen to men and to women. And women are going to be they're going to engage in it and are going to receive it, and men are going to engage in it and they're also going to receive it. So yeah.
Wow, so that was a lot of interweaving things. It's really interesting.
I know, I get like on my little travels into myself. I'm like, where did I go? Where did I start?
So where do you think you'll go next?
Well, so right now but I have to accept that at every moment, every interaction is showing me myself. So I have to stand up for myself, and I have to draw healthy boundaries and not accept poor treatment. Like, so I've been interacting with someone who's associated with Disney, and about potentially doing a film adaptation of my book, because it just lends itself. It's like, it's just cinematic, and you could do a comic book series. Like, it could be, with all the heroes in there, like the FBI chasing Andrew Tate and the firefighters. Like, you could share a lot of wisdom that way and have a lot of fun with it. Right. But it's like, oh, I'm going to have that too. And then it doesn't happen. And a month later, it doesn't happen. So, like, recently I had to let go of someone who is a literary consultant who introduced me to this guy. And then I reached back out to him and said, are you still interested in my books? He's read my book and I've signed an NDA. And he's like, yeah, I'm still super interested. And so then he's like, oh yeah, is Friday too late? I'm like, okay, no, great, Friday. And then I hired a new brand manager this last week, and I sent him and said, invite him. So when does he reach out? And he's in another part of the world right now. He reached out on his Saturday, my Friday night, on Instagram with no plan, going, oh, well, where are you in California? Like, when can we meet? And then I kind of let that slide. So he's like, well, can we meet tomorrow? Is it daytime or nighttime better for you? I'm like, okay, daytime. Let's meet at 11. He texts me around 10. Oh, I didn't realize that's 2 a.m. my time. I can't meet then. Can you meet at night? On a Saturday night. So I finally just cut it. I was like, no, I got plans. And I sent him an email the next day. But like, as long as I'm going to engage in being disrespected like that, then I'm going to continue to attract and disrespect because I haven't learned my lesson.
Mhm.
So now I know that. So, okay, while it's scary to potentially let go, to draw a boundary with someone who has that, those openings, I know I will never access those openings because I don't believe in myself enough to access them. So I know that I have to, listen to myself. And like I had to kind of let him also see himself and how he was treating me. It's like I'm laid off. Like, you're gonna string me along on this with my book, and I don't, I need to, like, you see, like, it's not. There's the selfishness,
Yeah.
and so I have to keep believing myself. So I'm still gonna work on a film adaptation. I had a brand manager, my website. He's doing a new website, and I'm working on getting traditionally published, doing book signings. You just, getting out there, getting my message out there, and doing podcasts. And I'm super excited. My first interview was with a guy, he's a psychologist, an archetypal psychologist he's from England, and he's going to do a 6 episodes on me and go over all of my archetypes. Like, oh, you're that archetype, and then you're that, then you're that, then you're that. So it's like exciting for him, for me just to open and for him to see it. And now we're going to talk about it. So I have like those opportunities, and I'm super excited about that. I can, share myself. And because I took on a ton of maternal, like I see video posts. Oh, if you have a maternal wound, you have all these problems. I'm like, yeah, I got those. Oh, if you have a paternal wound, you have all these problems. Like, I got those too. So if we can understand me, will help a lot of people understand themselves. So that's what I'm
Definitely.
doing, that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
So, well, Kerry, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. It's been enlightening.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
Is
my
there,
book is on Amazon. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was going to say, just before we go, is there anything that you want to promote?
Yeah, my book is on Amazon. You can find it, at any bookstore, online bookstore. And my website is www.kerryblaser.com. And I'm just about to upload my new website, but you can contact me that way. I have an email there, and you can. Yeah. Thank you.